Nigerians, 4.5 million people, if you decide to liquidate the bank at a time when the economy is still struggling out of recession. So you need to be very careful when you come up and say, look, what you want to do is kill a bank so that I cannot explain to 4.5 million people who have saved their life earnings, their life investment in banks. And that is why we believe that
that's what part of what but that's what part of a central bank should do. Yes. Take out any of the banks that is systemically corrupting the system, as it were.
It depends on the level of corruption, Bosun. What I'm saying here is that it is not as bad to a point where you liquidate a bank.
Well, one of these banks is holding about almost $60-something million of a government money in TSAs that should go there, and they've asked for central bank guarantee. You're not providing them. So, should that bank go down? Would you do it?
You see, the point is this. You should not, what we're doing, we're discussing with the bank a program of repayment. And I say this, if the bank, if it was a Naira money of TSA, it's easy for us to debit the bank and pay the government. But because this is foreign currency, we are not in control of foreign currency account that you will debit and all that. So we will need to put in place an arrangement where the bank must look for a way to borrow foreign currency or source foreign currency to be able to pay these banks. And that's what we are engaging the banks. And I'm pretty much optimistic that this matter will be. I mean, we started from as high as $6 billion. But it's down to the kind of levels you are talking about now. So we've made good progress, but I can assure you that those funds will be recovered.
There's another commercial bank you've been spoon-feeding, and the financial statement is not yet out for even for 2015.
Let me tell you, there's nothing wrong in spoon-feeding a bank, because the central bank is a lender of last resort. Do you understand? And what we're doing is part of our core mandate, that when a bank is in a kind of situation where they need help that can take them out of a problem, that we should do so. We're only playing our role as a lender of last resort.
Mr. Governor, do you think you've done enough controversial monetary policy stance, like the ban of FX on 41 items, and you think you're now coasting home in just about less than 2 years of your tenure at the central bank?
Well, thank you very much again, Bosa, for bringing me to the issue of 41 items. There's hardly anyone who sees me that never talks about 41 items.
I was trying to avoid it because I was upset about it initially. A lot of people
but
were
you're happy with
it
now.
Well, your view is important because you're the one, and I was thinking perhaps you will reduce the 41 items or you will increase it to 100, but you seem to be quiet about it recently.
Well, first of all, you don't want to increase it because that it's like people almost think that they even cost my dead mother about those affected by the 41 items. But I think the point is
how did you arrive at the 41 in the first? Why not 42?
Okay, let me tell you this. It was a situation where we came from having depreciated the currency, and we began to say, what are the items that people are importing into the country that we can produce in the country? And we decided to draw up a list. I consulted with a couple of people, different people. And that, of course, naturally also consulted with the presidency, indeed, in this case, the president. And he said, look, why do we need to allocate foreign exchange to import goods that we can produce in this country? We came from a regime at a time in this country, in the 50s and 60s. This country survived with revenues from agriculture. We grew up reading in economics textbooks, government textbooks, about the granite pyramid, about cotton, about cocoa, about palm oil. Nigeria, Bosen, was the largest producer of cotton, with 40% market share at a time. We were exporting palm oil, and this country was surviving from revenue from palm oil. But unfortunately, because we found oil, we lowered our guards, and then everybody ran to Lagos and Abuja. Everybody left the farms. But unfortunately, now that the oil price, we have been beaten by the shock, we're now beginning to say we needed to go back to it. So we're saying, what are those items that we're importing that we can produce locally? In fact, I was abused by a magazine that said I just went into a room and was looking at different plans, that I was not ashamed of even picking toothpick. Boston, let me tell you this. Toothpick can be produced in a room less than half the size of where we are right now. The important thing is about what is the outcome of producing toothpick in the country today rather than importing it. What we're saying is that by that you create jobs for your people. Today, there are young school leavers, NYSC graduates, even during their NYSC, they are producing toothpick in Abuja. They are producing toothpick in somewhere in Ogun State. Toothpick that we produce in Nigeria today is stronger, better, and cheaper than the import alternatives. And what we've done by this is that we've created jobs for people. Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava, bosun. But yet, we have companies that produce starch and glucose that would go to the manufacturer to say, look, you need glucose and starch for your pharmaceutical formulations and everything, other things that you need. Come and patronize our local alternative for glucose. They refused. But because we put in place the foreign exchange restriction, the likes of the multinationals, today we have close to about 30 multinational companies that were importing starch and glucose with foreign exchange. They now patronize the locally made starch and glucose. That country called Saltry, somewhere in Oyo State, today has orders for glucose and starch that it has not even been able to make. It has provided jobs.
Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria did a number of interventions, in particular in the last 2 years, from the aviation sector to agriculture. Of course, the Anchor's Borrowers Program was one of those interventions that have taken nearly 100 billion naira. And Godwin Emefiele, the head of the Central Bank, believes that results are incoming. But also in the power sector as well, we've seen the Central Bank putting billions and billions into that, but hasn't all been success stories. So in the final part of this interview, I asked the Central Bank chief a few questions around those interventions, and in particular, if we expect more specific sectoral interventions to come on stream in 2018. He also told me what he has in view for the coming year, as well as outlook into the final 2 years of his term in office. This is the Best of Business Morning and Godwin Emefiele exclusive interview here on Channels Television. We'll be right back in 2.